I had a kind of blind belief that we were going to make the movie. I really don't know that I had much choice.
For us, it was, okay, it's a comedy, cost, very little money, and seemed like fun.
I remember they gave us a first-class ticket to fly from Dallas out there, and I remember trying to trade it in for a coach ticket. I'd never flown first class, and trying to, get the money, get the difference, and they told me no, it'll get refunded to the credit card. So then I was like, well, I guess I'll fly first class then.
We had to set them up in a set of offices.
I've never had offices like that again. We had a patio, and there was a moped that we had golf carts to drive around. We had a secretary.
These are pretty good offices, and it's covered in Owen's underwear, because he was using it like semi as an apartment.
And we would go into our office and work every day.
And Wes was just had thousands of pictures posted on the wall, and you're just sitting there going like, well, what the hell are you guys doing? And and they said, well, we're working.
I think Jim may have said, you make sure they're okay, and keep them writing, keep them working. Because I feel like Jim might have sensed that we could probably get distracted and not pull through.
Owen and Wes, as the writing team, would be in my office, and we'd sit there for hours, and I'll never have that kind of session again, because I'd pitch. I'm used to pitching. I come from television. I pitch ideas, and it would never be like, I don't know how they did it, because it would never be like you said something and you felt the silence, so you were uncomfortable. But they were a writing team, you never had any idea of how they were taking what you were saying. You just didn't.
And I remember one time Jim saying, I think it's kind of amazing that no one ever takes a note in here, and that kind of surprised us. So then after that, we always came in with notebooks.
I used to say they were like Quicksilver. You couldn't get them in a room. Owen would wander off. Wes would wander off.
And you had no problem rising to the occasion. You were always demanding.
As fast as I could.
You were always kind of demanding in terms of pushing to get the green light from Jim, or if you wanted, somebody would say, the producers, what do you need? And you'd ask for 3 tanks, a couple helicopters, and this, and then say, okay, well, you can have a jet ski. And you say, okay, we'll make it work.
Although Wes and Owen always seem like, even though they kind of do that kind of aw shucks routine, those guys play possum a lot. They know exactly what they're doing.
He knew what he wanted to do. He knew the picture he wanted to make, and there were blips, and he was inclusive of those blips, but really on a beam all the way.
We were saying we wanted to get the movie. We needed to get the movie done. We needed to get to work because our guys are losing their enthusiasm. It's going on too long. The movie won't be as good because our guys are getting so weary of waiting. They're losing their enthusiasm. And Jim said, "Oh, I don't accept that. I think when the trucks show up, those big trucks show up, you get your enthusiasm back pretty quickly. I think it'll be there."
They didn't really care for the longest time because they were making $100 a day in per diem, $700 a week, and that was more than they'd ever made in their lives. So they were living really high off the hog, relatively speaking.
I saw James L. Brooks in Gracie Films and in the building, and he saw me and said, "Oh, hey, man," and seemed very friendly. I said, "Hey, Jim, how's it going?" He said, "Good," and talked to him for a minute, and he said, "So when's Luke coming out?" I just thought, oh, man, that's...
Luke was also out there living with Owen, and they weren't paying him per diem. So he was getting really pissed off because he wanted the movie to go because he didn't get paid until the movie went.
We weren't trying to string our per diems along at the expense of, it wasn't like Jim Brooks was saying, I want to start the movie, here's the money, go to Dallas, and we were saying, no, let's work on the script some more and get some more per diem.
Luke and I would go golfing every day. Like he was teaching me how to golf, and it was like that's what we did. Well, and then come back and we'd both yell at them to get going faster, and then we'd go out and golf again. We did that until they finished it.
That just seems to be the process at Gracie Films. There's going to be a long sort of period of, I guess, kind of developing the script.
You know, went 2 years without a page, and then it was like 3 weeks. There's a draft, and the draft did not incorporate any of the illustrations that I had given them, but it had accomplished every one of the notes that I had indicated, so, which were Jim's notes, but they didn't know what they meant. So the illustrations gave them an understanding how to attack it, and they came in, and it was a brilliant script. It was a brilliant rewrite.
And Jim gave us the green light to go do the movie.
My first morning there, everybody was running around like, hey, we'll have a cup of coffee, you know. Introduce this one. This one I think I had to get in the first scene was in the car with Owen or something. And I kept looking at Owen, like trying to figure out, what is this guy doing? What the heck is he doing?
Owen's character is someone who has a romantic view of life and has been watching too many caper movies, and Luke tends to go along for the ride.
So the guys didn't know that those guns were loaded right on the field.
No. I cautioned them to be sure and aim at the dead tree because they were going to throw live bullets.
I kept asking what was a bottle rocket, you know, because I wanted to see bottle rockets in the movie, but I could never get Wes to do it. You know, he would not do it.
I don't think that I even knew that it was called Bottle Rocket at the beginning. I think it was I just knew that they were working on a script together. I didn't know the significance of the name, and I still don't.
When we started the movie, Owen and I didn't know what a focus puller was, and so there was, you know, the camera and the camera operator, and then Wes and the sound guy. And then there was this guy, John Boccaccio, who, you know, had the focus right here, and he sat right beside the camera, and he just had this kind of poker face. And after about the second day, Owen and I were like, this guy hates us. This guy thinks we're the biggest jerks.
Success, total success. That was actually a Luke line.
Is it?
Yeah, that was, I think, might have been from Jim Brooks. You know, one of the great things about Jim Brooks that I'm always kind of amazed at when people come up and say they liked a particular line from Bottle Rocket. And a lot of times people will reference this one line where I blow up it, or I say, that's it, no more gang, because Bob's messing with the gun and they're not paying attention. And then I walk off screen and Jim had this ADR line, how does an asshole like Bob get such a great kitchen?
You can say, here's the situation with our characters, here's the scene, this is happening. Could you have a joke? And he'll think for a second and he'll say a joke. Maybe it's a good joke, maybe it's a great joke. Sometimes you just can't believe what he just said. And we got jokes from Jim.
Let's get lucky.